Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Marketing Dude Podcast. I just felt like doing that today. Anyways, what we're going to be talking about today is the rising competition amongst the industry. In today's market, realtors aren't only fighting against each other, but they're fighting against large non-industry corporations. They're fighting against people who are undercutting their commissions. I mean, if you thought real estate was hard before, it just got a little bit more difficult, or did it? And that's what we're going to talk about today, because I thought this is an important topic for a couple reasons. One is I can't I can't even log off of Facebook without seeing an agent mention oh my God, this buyer just asked me for a 1% rebate, or oh my God, my seller just asked me to, discount my commission 0.5 or 2% or something. And then yesterday I get a message from another Facebook group I'm in, and someone sent a message, did you see this article yet? It was about a company in New York that is actually a rebate buyer brokerage, and they actually rebate 2% of the commission, not 1%, not 1.5%, 2%, which is the highest I've ever seen.
Wow.
And their model is interesting, though. They switch to salaried agents, and they keep 0.5%. So in a market like New York, the numbers still work. So it's interesting to see all these little things. And folks, I'm not here trying to throw any of these companies under the bus. I'll throw a couple under the bus on this podcast, only because they're throwing the real estate industry under the bus. But I will not, I think competition's good. I think it's great. I think it's needed to excel. And believe it or not, I actually think it's needed in the real estate industry, because the status quo is the problem in the real estate industry. Putting a listing on the MLS, popping a sign in the yard. I mean, come on, folks. That's what they're doing at these flat fee brokerages. And that's exactly why we're starting to lose commissions to them, because us as a whole, us as an industry, have not upped our game. They've upped their game. They've brought in technology. They've brought in automation. They've brought in service. They've brought in all kinds of things to enhance the consumer experience. Yet we as realtors are still sitting here thinking that we're entitled to a 5 or 6% commission. And folks, we're not entitled to anything except the opportunity to make a living in this country. Amen. So who we have on the guest today is my sidekick, partner in crime, one of our marketing dudes inside of a tractor, coming straight out of the STL, St. Louis. He is a Cardinals fan, unfortunately, but his name is Justin Lindsay. What's up, Justin?
Hello. What's going on, man?
Nothing, man. Nothing. We are. So we want to go ahead and really get into this, because you used to work for a flat fee brokerage too. Is that right?
Yeah, I did. Right before I moved to St. Louis. And then when I got up here, it was actually one of the first places I started to look for was another flat fee brokerage. And I've never considered myself to be a bad service provider. I don't really think that I provide terrible customer support to my clients, but there was a certain degree of flexibility to it that I really, really, really did like. And I don't have an issue with them.
So, and I don't think they're going anywhere. Everyone says because they started to sprout up in the 2007, 2006 market, if people remember. They started to sprout out, but once the crash happened, they all sort of drowned out. But now they're back, right? And I think that I don't think they're going away this time. I think that we have to assume and accept that this is something coming into the marketplace, because let's face it, if there wasn't a demand for it, they wouldn't exist. But folks, write this down. Less expensive options only exist when lack of value of the current options is present. And it's not just a real estate industry. This happens in all of them. And the truth is the entire existence of my podcast is don't be a realtor, be a marketer. That's sort of, I repositioned 3 to 4 years ago in my real estate business. To do that, I positioned myself as a marketer when I was still selling in Chicago. And now I'm not selling in Chicago, but I am still a marketer. But I do think that that's what the public's asking for. They're not looking to hire someone with a license. They're looking to hire someone with some skill sets and someone who's going to help them net more money. So that's what we're going to chat about today. And Justin, we wanted to have on the show because Big Bad Justin used to work for one of these big bad flat fee brokerages.
So I'm the guy.
And like I said, I think they're a good thing. Now, I want to start off with an analogy, Justin. Let's just sort of play devil's advocate, because one of the things I'm seeing is a lot of agents like, how do you combat this? What's your script? What do you say when you get asked to rebate your buyer commission, or what do you say to a listing, to a seller? And I want to give you a couple ways that I think will be very effective to do so, and it has to involve storytelling. So, Justin, you want to go first?
And by the way,
go ahead.
Well, by the way, I'm probably going to get a if you want to go ahead and send me some hate mail and tell me about how terrible I am, by all means, go ahead. I always enjoy reading it. But no, I mean, I like it. And I think, though, on the other side of it, like, and I'm going to talk a little bit about my breakfast yesterday. I was at McDonald's yesterday, and I did the self-checkout for the first time. And so when you were talking about how this is something that's here to stay, McDonald's is now offering a do-it-yourself model.
Yes.
Walmart's offering a do-it-yourself model. Amazon's doing the same thing. Like, as a culture, we're getting away from calling the guy and doing it ourselves to a degree. And I think that we need to pay attention to that, because like you just said, we're not immune to that. And our industry is going to evolve just like the fast food industry, just like all the other industries out there.
Well,
and so
let's go through McDonald's. I think that's a great example.
Yeah.
I haven't seen them yet. You actually visited one, like a self-checkout?
Oh, yeah. It was pretty cool. I walked in and I looked at the register and there was nobody there, but there was a order yourself kiosk right there by the front door. I walked up, ordered my McGriddle sandwich, my coffee to my my 2 sugars, my 2 creams, hash brown, and then it said, pick the little table tent with a number on it, punch your number in, and go have a seat. And I went and sat down, got to work, and a few minutes later, this girl comes over with my tray, sets it down for me, and I'm off. I didn't have to go to the guy behind the counter, watch him bumble around for 5 minutes, and put my order together. I just did it, and that's where we're at as a culture now. People want that type of service.
Sure.
Doesn't mean there's not a place for the guy or the dude, but you have to mold the way that you fit into the new world.
Yep.
And you have to change your mold a little bit.
There's no mistake that these machines came out. Like, this is all directly, I think, related to the minimum wage argument here. We won't get into that topic because that's probably a hot topic for many people. But again, lack of value. A robot could do the same job that humans were doing, and then they replaced them. So the question is can a realtor be replaced by technology, automation, and all that? And I'm going to tell you where I disagree. Justin, you can chime in, please. But I'm going to use Zillow as an example. Real estate can never be automated. There's still a human connection there. And when over 66% of people or 80% of people use someone they know, like, and trust, they're leaning on somebody for the proper advice and or guidance. They're not necessarily, there to, of course, everyone wants to save money. Who doesn't? But when you look at the, 1% on a $500,000 listing is $5,000. That's a drop in the bucket. I'm sorry, folks. I know it's a lot of money, but I'm telling you, when you're making a $500,000 purchase, $5,000 shouldn't be the difference between you and a flat fee, unless you don't know how to combat it, or unless you don't have value you're offering yourself. So I don't think, let's go back to Zillow, is that it happened with Zillow, why I think automation and tech can't work. Zillow, did they take down their Zestimates? I don't know. I don't go on Zillow. But remember all the issues with Zestimates? I haven't been on in a while either. Yeah.
Now,
so all the issues with Zestimates, if automation can take us away, then why can't Zillow provide accurate estimates? And I'll tell you why. Because property values are determined by what the next person is willing to pay for that property. And we could have 2 houses, the exact same model, next door to each other. One could be totally upgraded with the bells and whistles, and the other one could have a hoarder in it, and Zillow would probably analyze that as the same valuation because they don't have the ability to get inside. And that, my friend, is what I call human intelligence, okay? You can't get around that. Like, only a local expert, an appraiser, maybe only half of them, but would know how to make the proper adjustments for that particular property. And that's, I believe, is as simple as that. Now, I think the main question is how the hell do you explain that to the general public, right? How,
Yep.
how the hell do you do that? Justin, you have any thoughts on that?
Well, first, I agree 100%. And according to the 2015 NAR, National Association of Realtors profile for buyers and sellers, the internet and the real estate agent were the top two useful sources of information for home buyers in that year. And the numbers were 82% thought the internet was the most important, 78% said the agent was the most important. So I agree with you. There is absolutely, the agent certainly has a place in this. And so that, that's I'm right there with you all the way.
So let's go back and let's dumb this down. And this is the way I would battle this. Let's first handle the objections, because I know a lot of people want to know how do you object it. I'm going to give you guys two different examples. And the way that I've always negotiated or explained or sold was literally through storytelling, because I believe people can resonate more with the story. So, Justin, I want you to go ahead and we're going to role play this right now. And I want you to be the seller, and you could ask me for a discount and ask me why I charge that much, and I'll just sort of combat it with an answer. So go ahead. We didn't practice this or anything. Let's just see how this rolls.
Nope. We're just going to roll with it. So yeah, Mike. So I like what you're talking about. I like what you have to offer. However, I can call Joe Bob Realty down the street, and they'll do this for 4%.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Could you come down to 4? Could you come down to 4%?
Well, I mean, can I market your house without running the Facebook ads or doing the open houses or doing some of the advanced optimization online or writing the blog post or creating the case study or creating urgency or staffing it with my team or sending out the direct mail postcards to the local neighborhoods? You see, the way that I sell real estate is, I agree, there's less expensive options, but I just got back from getting my hair cut at a salon, and sometimes I do go to Supercuts. But it just depends on the haircut I really want and the service I want. This time I actually have a wedding tomorrow, so I didn't want to take the chance of going to Supercuts. So let me ask you, is the way I valued your house, Mr. Lindsay, is I think this place is worth about $475,000. That's what I would recommend to list this for. Do you think that's about accurate with the value?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's on. But 6% is just so much money.
All right, well, 6%.
That's a lot of money.
So we're talking about saving 1% on the commission, because that's the rebate that John Doe or whatever is going to tell you. So let's just break it down. So $475,000.
Okay.
So what we're really talking about isn't 1%. We're talking about $4,750. Now, this is the question, and there's no right or wrong answer. But the reason why I don't personally work at one of those flat fee brokerages is because my clientele wants me to be involved in their transactions. And it's because of my involvement in the transaction that I'm able to yield my clients more than what their perceived savings would be at a discount brokerage. So let me explain that. So what you're really asking me for is $4,750 really worth the 1% savings? And that's a question for you to answer. I already know the answer to this. My answer is that, is it worth saving just under $5,000 to not put thousands and thousands and thousands of extra eyeballs on your property? Because what I need to have the commission for is, one, this is how I make my income, but two, I'm not charging you any marketing expenses, but I do need to pay for those marketing expenses for this to make sense for me. So if I was able to sell your $475,000 house, say at $470,000, and the flat fee brokerage who's going to go ahead and market your house on the MLS and put a sign in the yard, really, because they don't have the income to do all the stuff we're going to do, like optimizing videos, using drones, running Facebook ads, really creating urgency and traffic. If they sold your house for $465,000, it would still be worth it going to me. I believe that more exposure creates more eyeballs. And what we're good at is, I'm not a realtor, I'm a marketer. So I create urgency around your property, no differently than how my salon gave me a really good haircut this morning. If I didn't have a wedding tomorrow and I had my kids, soccer game to go to, I probably would have saved the extra $20 too and went over and just took a chance and rolled the dice with super clips, right? I go there all the time, but not when I have an important event the next day. So the question to me that you're really asking me is, do you really want to risk your $475,000 investment to save $4,000, or do you want the for sure thing that you're going to get top dollar? So that's your question to answer, not mine. Don't worry, I won't be offended.
Yeah, I'd rather get the top dollar, I think. Um, but I still think, but they're saying, but I mean, in this way, I can kind of do it on my own, though.
Sure.
Like I don't really need I don't think I need all the drones and all that stuff. I think that I can. All I really need to do is just get it out there in front of people, and they'll come and see it. My house is pretty unique.
In a tight inventory market, you're right. Maybe it will sell. Maybe it does sell off of the MLS. But let me ask you a question: how many homes have you sold in your life?
Well, I mean, I'm 65 years old, and I think I've sold all the house I've ever lived in.
Okay, well,
I'm not actually 65.
How many have you personally negotiated yourself? Because I'll tell you the other reason why my clients hire me is because I know how to absolutely mindfuck the other side and negotiate them up. I mean, that's the other reason.
Well, I mean, I know, you start a little bit high, and then you got someplace to go, and
Sure.
so that's kind of my style. Just kind of give them a place to start.
Totally understand. I'm with you, sir. And honestly, if I wasn't confident that I couldn't, not only net you the yield difference between another $4,700, then I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you. But I'm just telling you what I can do. And if you don't believe me, that's your choice to make. But like I said, what we're really talking about is, would you rather have me representing the sale of your transaction, and can my involvement net you $5,000 more than my flat fee options? I'm telling you, yes, it will, and yes, it can. And I don't believe it's really a savings. I believe it's smoke and mirrors.
Well, if you can do all that, then I think that I'm okay with it.
I think you made the right decision.
Let's do it. Where
All right.
do I sign? Yeah, but Mike, but don't you think that there's a lot of people out there though, who, and I know I've dealt with this. And by the way, if anybody's listening and they're going, like, I understand the discount rate, and I use it I can use it strategically. But when I went to that discount model, I didn't go all in on the discount prices. I still did my 6, and I was even able to start moving towards 7%. But don't you think that there is a time where you can strategically use a discount option?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there's some people that no matter how,
I think there's a need for it.
No matter how you right.
I don't disagree with that.
But no matter how you break it down, there's still people. Okay.
You're not going to win them all, right? The same reason why the salon's not going to get them all. All right. Now let me ask you a question.
Yep.
If Brad Pitt got his haircut at Supercuts, would he be Brad Pitt?
Probably not. I mean, he would technically be Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Legally.
Does
But
Brad Pitt
wouldn't
does
have
it
the
even
same
matter where
star
Brad
power.
Pitt gets his haircut, or is he always going to be smoking hot? I'm just joking, guys. I don't think Brad Pitt's hot. But
No.
Justin, I agree with you. I think that some people, no matter what, are always going to perceive this as a savings. But just like in any industry, if you look at the travel industry, travel agents haven't completely gone by the wayside. They just became specialists in certain areas.
No.
And they became experts in certain areas.
Yeah.
No differently than how a realtor should be experts in certain areas. I believe marketing is one of them. Unfortunately, they don't have marketing classes in real estate school, so they have a bunch of stuff that most of us don't ever use. And at the end of the day, it comes down to better serving the client. And people aren't looking to hire realtors; they're looking to hire marketers. And if you don't want to call a marketer, it's someone that can help them win on their deal, and they're hiring winners. In other words, so. I think there's a need for it. I think that it's going to represent a certain percentage of sales going forward. But here's where I think the danger is. The danger that I think is happening is that, here in the West Coast in San Diego, there's a company here, I won't name them. They're called something like Burple Pricks. And what happens is that they're flooding the airwaves with negative realtor ads. All right. And that's the problem I have with them. So I have no problem throwing that company under the bus, because their advertisements that are on my radio, they're on my television, like all nonstop. They're saying real misery when you hire a realtor and you waste a bunch of money doing it. They're basically saying realtors aren't worth their weight at all. And the problem that I see with that is that I think that it's a matter of time until they change public opinion. And I think that realtors are going to have to battle this on all aspects, because the truth is that they have way more money than all of us. and they could flood the airwaves with this type of stuff. So when you start changing public opinion, it's a big battle for realtors. And I think that's just what's coming. There's no shortage of these companies. You used to count them on your hands, but now they're in every single market. Mom and pop shops, independents, franchises. I mean, you name it. This is here, and it's coming. But the way to combat it is to simply just outperform them, because on a discount, they're limited at what they can actually do. They're limited on the service they can actually provide. You know, they cannot. If you can outmarket them and outsmart them, I don't see the difference between us becoming the salon and them being Supercuts.
Yep. But then there's some truth to what they're saying. We have a lot of agents who just are flat out lazy and are a real nightmare to work with.
Yeah.
And honestly,
good point. That's the other part of the problem.
I'm ready for them to go. Yeah, I'm ready for them to go away. You know, because on the other side of that, like, you know, the discount, you know, we all hate it, but we also have a lot of agents that are worth 8% and 10% and 12%. You know, but we're trapped. But somehow, and even though we're not supposed to talk about money, somehow we get trapped into we're all 6%, but we're not supposed to sit around and talk about what our commissions are going to be as an organization. We need to encourage people to drop down to what they're worth and let the free market decide. And, you know, if you drop down to 4% and you're providing exceptional customer service, the market will encourage you to push up to what you're actually worth. And if you're at 6% and you're providing 12% customer service, you should push for it, and you need to be able to support why. And I think that's the thing that so many agents can't do.
Yeah.
They can't justify why they're worth 6%. And that is more of a damage. I think an agent asking for 6, it's not worth it, does more damage to our industry than an agent doing it for 4 and providing good 4% quality service.
I agree.
Supercuts, they don't suck. It's just a different model. It's kind of like your taco model when you talk about that during the attractor stuff. I think that we should encourage people to truly evaluate what type of service they give and be content with that.
I agree. And the other thing is, folks, that we're not entitled to a commission. Like, this might sound rough, but I'm seeing it on all the boards, and they're just like, "Oh yeah, they're not gonna take 6%. Bye bye." Folks, this is a bigger issue than what we're talking about. Like, the market always decides. We live in America. Okay, this isn't it's a free market. So the market will decide. And if these less expensive options if the market rejected them, they would have done it already, but the market's not rejecting them. Now, don't get me wrong. I've heard a lot of disgruntled customers as well, who utilize the services of these flat fee brokerages, as well as who utilize the services of full commission, 5-6% brokerages. But that's my whole point, is that you have to get better regardless of what you are. You know, if you're flat fee, great. Give flat fee rate service or exceed expectations. And if you're 5 or 6%, same thing, exceed expectations. But, you know, you have to start looking at, I think that what consumers expect from their realtors is what's really changed, which means that our skill sets need to change, right? The people don't need us to go out there and find properties for sale anymore. They could do that on Zillow. And I before I left Chicago, my clients were sending me the houses they wanted to see before I had a chance to even look them up on the MLS, because they're getting Insta alerts from Zillow. So, like, I had to position the way I speak with my clients, the way I am with my clients and all that stuff, to let them really know the value that I provide, which ended up sort of transforming more into an analyst role, more of a therapist, support. I mean, literally, like, in all aspects, like from having coffee ready in the car to, setting up the home inspection and setting up the utility services for them at the time of moving, to picking them up and driving them, in the car with you when you're showing houses, to taking them out to dinner after you're showing them houses. Like, folks, this is customer service. We're no longer in sales. I know people hate when I say that. They're like, we're in sales, the sales industry. I'm like, no, it's not. Tell me one freaking house you've ever sold. I've never sold a house. I've helped people buy one. I've never sold anyone's house. I help them net more money transferring title to their previous residence.
Yeah, people will allow you to be involved with this if they know, like, and trust you.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm not going to go down to some, you know, salesman and say, hey, can you hang out with me while I look for houses online 8 to 10 weeks before I'm ready to pull the trigger on going out and looking? Will you open the door for me? And then, you know, here's your check for $3,000. No. Now, a friend of mine, somebody who has helped me, somebody who's encouraged me to do this, you know, yes, that's completely worth it. And so, I mean, and that's why and I was asked this question this morning about which brokerage should I go with and leads and all this stuff. You have to understand that if you don't have a plan in place to give value to people, if you can't stay in front of your leads 8 to 10 weeks prior to the time they're ready to pull the trigger, then they're not going to see any value in keeping you around. And that's just where we're at now.
Yep.
Because they can pick up the phone tomorrow, just like with McDonald's. They can pull up their phone right now and have an agent at the house that they want to see this afternoon, and they don't care.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just that on-demand service that people want.
Yep.
You got to get into their head.
Well, this is the second half. I think there's another way to get out ahead of this too, and that's by becoming more of a resource than just a realtor at the same time, and beating them to the punch. Like, you have to be the first person they speak to. You cannot afford them speaking to one of the flat fee brokerages before they speak to you, because what is going to happen is that once they get them on the phone, trust me, these people I'm sure are skilled in selling their flat fee service, and it's an easy sell from a script perspective, because it's like, yeah, that realtor's just going to, it's the same thing that I'm telling you guys right now, that realtor's just going to put a sign in your yard, they're going to pop it on the MLS, and they're going to do essentially the same thing we're doing, but they're going to charge you another $5-6 more. Hell yeah, I'd go with the flat fee if that's the case. But when you start building and working on your own personal brand so that your own clientele, your network, your database, your friends, your family, your community comes to you first as that resource, then you have a chance to make your case before they go there.
Yep.
And I think it's harder to go the other way around. So, folks, you know, like, our whole thing is on personal branding and transactional marketing and enhancing the customer service end of things. Everything we do within Attractor is based upon that. And I think that, you know, doing that and getting out ahead of this is the other way to really beat them. Getting on video is one of the best brand building strategies you could possibly imagine. And I think that that's also something that needs to be adopted into an agent's business. I do think this is going to weed. Do you think this is going to weed people out?
What, the discounts?
Yeah.
Discount brokerages? I hope so. Like I actually pray for it every day. It weeds out bad agents, because, you know, I keep coming back to it. I believe in the free market, you know, and the free market votes. And, you know, if you don't provide exceptional customer service in 2018, you know, you need to go ahead and move out, because you're doing more harm than you are good. You know, so yeah, I think it will.
Yep. So let's talk about a couple other ways, maybe how our users can actually, not our users, our listeners can actually get out in front of this, you know. Let's summarize this. And one is, folks, you got to sharpen your skills. On the list side, you know, you got to do more than the status quo. If it's just a listing and a sign in the yard and that's really all you're doing, like, I saw a listing the other day that had like 2 sentences in the listing remarks. I'm just like, how are you know, you got to sell the house, position it, create urgency, you know. People aren't hiring us just to do the status quo, so it's super duper important. So one, sharpen your skills. Now, if you're not tech savvy and you don't know about Facebook, you don't know about video and all this stuff, then you know what? You got to find someone who does, because unfortunately, you're going to have to pay for this stuff. It's getting more expensive to operate. You know, we didn't used to have to do all this stuff, but now that we do, yes, it costs money, and it's going to get more expensive to operate. But that's why I suggest you learn it yourself, because truthfully, it's your biggest, there's no doubt. There's a lot of leverage when you really know what you're talking about in marketing and explaining that to a homeowner. It's just instant trust. I don't know how to explain it any other way. 2 is, accept it. right? Accept these are here.
Mm-hmm.
Learn how to
Accept
combat
it.
it. Learn how to combat them. Learn how to come up with good objections, sort of like how we went up through before. But you have to determine what is your value. And maybe you are a sign-in MLS person, fine, but you better be a beast of a negotiator, or you better have a hell of a database that you could bring in your own buyers.
Yep.
You better have a great network.
Yep.
I don't know what it is. I'm not saying that this is the one and only way. I just know we have to do more.
Yeah. I would like to add one, if you don't mind. I'm going to say embrace it, actually. And here's my recommendation for it. One, if you don't have an actual sit-down listing presentation, you need to get one. Just going in with the listing agreement and you're a flyer with your face on it, that's not enough. And this is one of the things I did. You know what? If you want to sign in the yard in the MLS and you want me to just step away from it and you do your thing, fine. There's column 1 at 4%. Column 2, here's all the things I could do for you. And column 3, here's all of the things I can really get excited about that will guarantee your house gets sold.
Yep.
Give it an option, or give them options and show them this is what you're doing. This is all the stuff that you're opting not to do. And lastly, explain how exactly real estate agents get paid, because nobody ever talks about this, and buyers and sellers don't understand. When you get, they all think that you're getting a $6,000 check on a $100,000 house. Every single one of them. And that's what HGTV has led them to believe. They don't understand how brokerage splits work. They don't understand that you're paying taxes. They don't understand that you're paying all these different things. And if that's not a monster part of your listing presentation, it should be, because about 99% of the time, when you break it down for a seller that way, they will look with that 4% limited listing option right there glaring in front of their face. They will look at you and go, you know what, let's go up here.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to, if they're set on it, don't let it go. Embrace it, but show them what all you can do. And hell, let them feel the pain.
Let them decide.
Let them feel the pain of what it's like trying to do.
I agree. I mean,
and
the option listing marketing plan is bomb. And for those of you that are inside of a tractor, we give you our entire listing presentation. It's in there, the options, and as well as the training and the different options that go along with it. So, yeah, no, you're exactly right. That we started doing the option plan 4 or 5 years ago. And the option plan it just gave the seller options. Here's the flat fee, here's the 5%, and here's a 6% commission. Which one do you want? Mm-hmm. And when you gave them options, they never negotiated with you. They would just pick one. But once you educate them on why the other one is more expensive, it really gives them it puts the power and the choice back in their corners versus us saying like, hey, this is how it's going to be and you're going to like it.
Yeah, it gives them context. And I mean, and again, I'm going to keep coming back to McDonald's and the world we live in, that availability of choice, that them making the decision, of them seeing what all their options are, that's a mindset shift that we have in our culture. And that if you give them that, they're often going, well, for 1% more, all of a sudden 1% is like, well, why wouldn't I do all this stuff for 1 to 2% more?
Yeah.
Like everything changes.
That's what happens. You're exactly right. When you say, so what we're really talking about is 1%. So here's the question. Do you not want me to do this, and that to save $4,750, or do you think that if we did this, and that we would net more? I'm just telling you my own experience. Most people go with the higher option, even though it feels like it's more expense. It's like the chances are we're going to make it up plus some on the back end. So this is really an irrelevant conversation.
Yeah, I mean, and then on top of that, 90% of buyers are using an agent. So even if you're going to go at it by yourself, you're not even going to talk to somebody unless you're coming in at 2.5%. So, I mean, you've got to. I mean, this is a no-brainer.
I agree, dude. I agree. Well, folks, the options are here. We have more competition, it seems, almost than ever. Not only just amongst ourselves and amongst the industry. There's all kinds of new brokerages, new franchises popping up. But now we got these less expensive options. And remember, they're not a bad thing necessarily. Don't get mad about them. Accept them. Understand that it's a sign of things to come. But if you want to do more business, Sharpen your skills. I mean, I don't know any other way to put it. If the barbershop employed a bunch of, or the salon employed a bunch of rookie barbers or salon people or haircutter people, whatever how you call them, they probably wouldn't get any return business, and they would have to go find better talent that they'd have to pay more. This is a common principle in business, folks. So it's not anything rocket science here. We're just telling you guys, get out there and do it. That there's education. There's plenty of sources out there. We're one of them. Use our stuff. Take it, and adapt it. So very, very, very cool, Justin. I appreciate you having. Do you have any other closing thoughts?
No, just get out and be better. Yep. You know, just wherever you're at, do one thing every single week to improve your service, and you won't have any problem in the world justifying 6, 7, 8, hopefully one day 9, 10%. So one thing a week.
There you go. Well, thank you, folks, and thank you, Justin, for joining us today, and thank you guys for listening to another episode of the Real Estate Marketing Dude podcast. Have you checked out Attractor yet? It is the one, the only, the first all-in-one brand-building software platform, CRM, and transaction management solution that is now live, and we are finally open for business. Go ahead and visit our site. It is therealestatemarketingdude.com. Very easy to remember. If you're interested in looking and checking out our software, Attractor, and our community, please go ahead and check that out. That is Attractor, ATTRACKTOR.com. Thank you, folks, for another episode. We'll talk to you guys next week. Stay tuned. We got another rockstar guest coming on board, and we will see you then. Thanks for tuning in.